Hey guys, welcome to Sketch Day. I'm Spencer and I'm excited. I'm trying out some new products today, but before we begin, I want you to hit that subscribe button if you're new and turn on alerts. Definitely come say hi on the socials. I am at sketchaday.com and visit sketchaday.com/newsletter, especially this week because I'll be sending out something special for you guys as a thank you. So today I'm trying out some markers that I tested in my previous video. They are Bianyo. I'm not sure how to pronounce them, but the marker game is heating up and I thought I would try out some new tools, and what better way to do that than taking them through a more full, robust test run by actually sketching a real product. Now, as always, materials will be listed in the description below, so I will have a link to these and you can check them out. It's a great way to support the channel if you do want to try them out. But at $1 a piece or so, I think these markers definitely give the long-standing favorites of mine, Copic, a run for their money. So I'm curious to hear what you think. If you try them out, definitely leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think about these markers. So today I'm gonna sketch a classic kind of car. Nothing specific, but just in that vein and styling of vehicles. Thought it'd be fun to try something a little bit different. So I'm gonna start this out by drawing a nice straight line across. Okay, these renderings and sketches tend to just have a more flattened out perspective, so that's what I want to do here. And let's go ahead and sketch in our cab for this design, just like that. And now we can add in a couple things, like maybe the hood comes down a little bit, and we have this nice wide combined headlight grille area. Rake back just a little bit like so, and I'm going to go ahead and sketch in a bit of trim bumper in the front. Alright, something like that. Now these cars definitely had very simple body sides, so I'm going to go with that theme. And as far as the wheels go, alright, we'll keep these nice and consistent with the styling of the day. A little bit of a wheel flare ever so slightly, but that'll rake over the front like so. And this is a straight to pen sketch, so it's a little bit different, perhaps more challenging than your typical sketch where you might start with some marker and want to work light until you get it right. So if you did want to do something like that, you could. I would just suggest being prepared to have an overlay of that sketch, okay? Which I might end up actually doing on this particular drawing. I feel like it's close, but I do want to clean things up just a little bit as we've been working here. But all of this is founded on basic perspective stuff, all the stuff that I talk about all the time, you know, establishing your form, dividing, and then beautifying that form. Now, proportionally, I feel like this needs to change a little bit, maybe get a little bit smaller through there. So, anticipating that change, I'm going to go ahead and sketch through and plan on doing just a quick overlay here of this particular sketch design. And let's have a nice strong body line through here. Maybe that lines up with the bumper, but at this point, you know, I'm going to go ahead and angle these back just a bit more, and also push this cab back just a little bit. I'm already liking kind of this proportion a lot more. All right. So just take this page and we'll put it under a nice fresh page like so. I like to smooth that down. And now I'll come in, and whenever I am resketching something, I try not to trace that sketch, okay? So we're trying to get as much, if not more, energy out of these lines as we're redoing this, okay? So think about your line economy as well. How many lines does it take to communicate what you're trying to communicate? And try and be somewhat aware of what's happening with that sketch. Okay, so I got my B pillar, A pillar, door proportion, rocker panel in here, and our wheel well. A couple ellipses offset should help us communicate a nice wheel. Same thing on the front here. So just trying to offset, meaning slightly shift these ellipses as I go. And now I have something that I can work with for a wheel. Slight flare coming back to this bumper area, like so. And with the bumper, I'm going to give it a light touch because I may want to hit that and make it feel like chrome. Okay. Nice fatty wheels, and just sketching in where I think the shadow might be for this vehicle. Okay, we can shade that in with a nice dark marker. Now, like I said at the beginning, I am going to be using some different markers here. So hopefully these all work out, but I will say that in my preliminary tests, these markers seem to be giving the classic contenders a run for their money. So I'm interested to see how these will perform on this quick sketch rendering as we work on it together. If you have used these markers though, definitely let me know. I'm curious to either see your work or hear what you think about kind of the wave of cheaper markers that have popped up. I remember years ago, the way for me to get a marker cheap was buying it on eBay. So it's nice to see that there are some viable options that seem to be coming from a place of genuine quality and thoughtfulness about, in our case, the artists or designers who might be using these products. Okay, so now I have a clean version of that sketch. Here's our original kind of scratchier sketch, and now we have a little cleaner version. All right, so now let's take a look at our Bionyo markers. Boom, there they are. If you missed that video, definitely check it out. You'll be able to see some of what's going on here and some of my initial thoughts on the markers. That being said, I'm going to start with the grays, the things I'm familiar with. We've got Cool Gray 3, Cool Gray 5, and Cool Gray 3, 5, and 7. All right, so let's start with 3 because I don't quite know what I'm getting into here. And I'm going to just shade this wheel. It seems so far that they perform okay with the Copic, the Papermate Flare markers. I am using a Canson marker paper. As always, those links will be in the video description. So just doing a little bit of a gray wash here on the wheels and getting that shadow. I'll do the same for the inside of the car here. I will say the flow of these markers is pretty good. I mean, they're juicy. I don't know that they are refillable, but they are about $1 per marker. So if you find someone that is willing to sell these as individual markers, I think that would be a good alternative to something like a Copic marker that can cost a lot of money. But like I said, so far these seem to be pretty good. All right, so on the body side here, let's say we decide to make this kind of a black sketch. So we'll have an opportunity to do some blues and so forth. Now I'm gonna start with this Cool Gray 5, and let's map out a few reflections on this body side. So as I do this, I'm literally kind of thinking about the horizon and how that might be reflected in this vehicle. So nice strong compression happening there, maybe perhaps on the front on this edge like so, and some of these edges as we recede. But what I do want to capture as we kind of fade from the front back is a bit of the sky. So I'm leaving some of this light as we go there, and we'll shade down and so forth. All right, so now that that's dry, let's see what happens when we hit it. Seems the colors seem to be working out pretty well. So no complaints really so far with these markers. I think, again, for about $1 a piece, they seem to be pretty solid so far. But I don't want to speak too soon, so hang tight and we'll see where we end up with this quick sketch. So there's 5, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually jump to 9. Okay, and see if we can blend from a 5 to a 9 with these markers. Now, as far as my application goes, quick stroke here, just enough to kind of kiss the paper. Quick, deliberate like that. Maybe skip a little bit, and now we have the beginnings of the body side reflections and so forth. Now, if this car were sitting on like a red surface, which we can do, you would kind of see a bit of that red reflecting in. So let's go ahead and play and have some fun. I always say, you know, you want to be able to make some mistakes and try a few things and see how they work, see how it works out. And if you like it, then just keep rolling with it. All right, so I've got this red here, and I'm gonna go ahead and make the ground red. Okay, so all under the car, right under here, make that red. We'll blend some red into this gray on the ground as well. Just want to make this red right through here. Kind of pop this sketch on the page. All right, something like that. And now, where we have the shadow, I'm just gonna shade over. It looks like the red is pretty much swallowed up the gray here. And I've noticed that these markers, sometimes, as far as how they interact with the grays, it appears that you can have a little bit of a surprise effect, if you will. So it's something to be mindful of, but again, I seriously can't get over the price point, so you're probably going to hear me repeating that quite a bit as we do this exercise. Okay, just like you're used to with other markers, chisel tip on these brand new Bianyo markers appears to be pretty crisp, and I think that's important if you are after some level of precision in your sketches. All right, so the rims are shiny, the body side is shiny, and I've got this shiny bumper. So I'm going to introduce some red into this bumper right there. We'll blend that. And on the rims, anything that's facing down, I want that to capture some of this red, okay? So where the rim pops in or out, and these surfaces are showing, I want to capture some of that red in those rims. So that's what I'm trying to do right here. I've got the top and so forth. Okay, and we'll introduce some black as well, just to kind of help with the contrast, but actually now is probably a good time for that. So I've got this marker. It says S on the top. I'm hoping that means black. Let's go ahead and test it here. Okay, that looks like black. So right on the horizon line here, closest to the midpoint, I'm going to just shade that in black, like so. Okay, inside the wheel well as well, nice and black. We're gonna have some black being reflected into the wheels, right, from the environment, so I can capture some of that across the rim here as well. So we'll go ahead and capture some of those spots inside that well, like I mentioned, underneath the vehicle, and into that shadow. Just remember to work light until you get it right, till you're happy, and you won't ever get in too much trouble. But don't be afraid of contrast. Contrast is your friend. That's my new thing, something I'm working on personally, pushing contrast and just really leaning into the beauty of being able to create surfaces through the differences in value as you're sketching or drawing. All right, so body side, I've got a Cool Gray 7 here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this side like so, and we'll throw some red in kind of help with that lower blend. On the chrome bumper, just on these corners, I'm gonna make sure you have some black, and again here we have the red reflecting into the chrome, so that's what I'm trying to kind of preserve as we sketch with gray underneath. It's always satisfying to sketch with a new marker, I will say. There's just something lovely about having that very crisp tip. It's never touched paper, and being able to sketch with that as we're drawing here. Alright, so the body side, like I mentioned, it's curving down, so it's going to receive some light. Now I want to start with a really light red. This is a 107. I'm going to see if I can trust these colors. We've got a 105 here. Doesn't look like I have a 103. This is a fairly limited set, but we'll see what we can do. Take some scrap paper and do a test. Alright, it's light enough. So here on the body side, I'm going to introduce some red. Okay, and again, that is the environment being reflected into the body side in the case of the body here. And up top, now I want a really light blue, because that is going to be my sky tone. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm somewhat limited in my blues here, so I'm hoping I can make this work. We can even experiment by using a blender a little bit and seeing if that kind of helps. It's a little bit too minty. I do like this. What is this? A blue 003. Whatever that means. Whoa, this one's weird. Oh, it's because I was using it in a previous video. So I'm going to scrub the tip there just a little bit. It happens from time to time with markers. And this is a pretty full set. I mean, I have grays from, or cool and warm grays from 1 to, here's the set. It was off camera there for a sec. I have cool grays from a 1 all the way up to a 9. So pretty nice. I think one thing I'm curious about is, does this marker refill at all? Okay, so let's do a little test here with the blue. See what we come up with. A little bit of blue, and let's see what our blender marker can do for us. Or if we put the blender down first and then the blue, what happens? Well, it does seem fairly intense in color, so I'm just gonna roll with it and see what happens. Okay, so for that blue area, let's go ahead and over the wheel well, just kind of lighten things up. And close to this horizon line, I do want it to be light, so I'm just gonna get this nice and wet here. And I'm actually gonna experiment and try something and see if this works. So the tip of the blender, I'm gonna touch the tip of this other marker here and see if I can get some of this ink on the blender and get that to show up over the wheel well. So a little trick for you guys, trying to soak up some of this blue ink, really light. So light that you probably can't even see it in the video here, but so far it seems to be working actually. Just a little touch of that blender, and then back to the side here. So get the paper nice and juicy with that blender, touch the two together, put some ink down, and then with the actual color, just come in over that area, something like that. Okay, a little bit of blue there, and we'll blend back to a gray just above. All right, so that's my little experiment with the blender to kind of get that blue in the body side, and so far it's looking pretty good. I mean, like I said, these are really cheap markers, about $1 a piece, so I'm impressed, if nothing else, with these markers as kind of a daily driver marker, where you might not want to use your expensive markers on printer paper, but I could totally see myself using these to do my quick sketches where I'm not really necessarily going to show it to a client or need to use the expensive stuff like I do with my commissioned pieces. All right, so let's get this B pillar in here, a little bit of gray next to that blue. It's gonna really help it pop and feel good. And then get our B pillar in here and C pillar as well. Just a little bit of, this is a C9, okay? And on the window, introducing just a little bit of dark there, and on the windshield, like so. Now, as far as the red goes, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down just a little bit further with the red, something like that. And I do want to use like a really deep red to help build the shadow under the vehicle, okay? And perhaps hint at a little bit of reflection as well. Maybe we'll throw some pencil. Let's work on the chrome on the front. Don't want to neglect that. I've got my Cool Gray 3. I even have a Cool Gray 1, like I mentioned. So right on this corner of the chrome, just gonna hit that, get a nice base gray on the chrome, on my headlights here as well. And on the top of the chrome, I do want it to be similar to the body side here, this really light blue. So to do that, let's take the blender again and just kind of hit the top here, get it nice and juicy. Hurry before it dries up. Hit this blue marker tip just like so. Hit it again, nice and juicy, and then with the marker to get that sky tone in the chrome, just like that. All right, and we can do the same thing with the red here. Oops, I used the wrong marker. I used the blue, but we can do the same thing with the red here. Just a little blend and kind of bring some of that red up into that bumper. All right, so I am gonna have to do a little surgery here. Let's see if I can salvage this because I totally bungled and messed up the color. But I like to say there's always a fix. I'm gonna let that spot dry because now I'm gonna use some blacks and deeper reds to kind of work on this corner and pull the color into this bumper a bit more, especially with this deeper red that I have here available. Okay, so a little bit deeper red on the chrome bumper here, on our rims as well. Nice red reflection coming in from the ground. Okay, just like that. Okay, let's make the wheels in the back slightly darker. Always try and find ways to push the contrast where appropriate, because that's going to help your form or shape of whatever product you're working on. That's going to help it read better in 3 dimensions. So can work a little bit of reflection here with the gray marker. This is a 30% gray, and just trying to hint at maybe some reflection here in this red ground. Do that with the gray marker. So gray on top of the red, and should blend pretty nicely there on the top. Now I think above all this, I'm going to do black and then leave like a nice white line. So we'll have that as part of the sketch here, or maybe I'll just leave it. We'll see. Just depends on how I feel and what's happening with the sketch. But so far it feels pretty good, and I'm excited that these markers, like I said, they're about $1 a piece, and they seem to be holding up pretty well, all things considered, for how much I spent on these markers. Now, I do want to mention that I did not get paid to do this review. This is purely my curiosity, as I'm trying to see what this buzz is about. I've been hearing about cheaper markers for a little bit of time now, and just wanted to kind of see how these worked out as I was drawing something. Okay, a little bit of gray on this body side, just like that. And now we have the sky reflecting into the surfaces that are facing up. We have a nice strong horizon line here, which will actually boost a little bit with that black S marker. I'm not sure, I wonder why they call it S. Like, is it special black, like the Copic Special Black. I'm not quite sure, but in any case, let's get this a little bit darker in a few places, contrast-wise, like so. Like I mentioned, on the chrome itself, on this corner, maybe just, you know, some nice black through there, mixing it with the red on these corners. And of course, we'll have some, what I like to call bird poop as a part of this as well. Okay, and that's just gonna help things pop a little bit better. On the top of the bumper here, this black will help clean up the shape as well. Okay, underneath the grille, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this pure black just to help this pop a bit more. So a little black marker there, and clean up the outline of the car with this crisp black marker. Like I said, a new marker is extremely satisfying to use. So if you ever have the occasion, definitely enjoy it while it lasts, because those chisel tips get worn down pretty quickly if you're sketching a ton. Now on the rims, we do have some surfaces that are facing up, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit those with some blue as well. And it may look crazy, like what is going on? But really just trying to capture those sky tones, and if we need to bring it back to gray, you can always hit that with our 30% gray and blend that back, okay? Or we can also use our paint, opaque white paint, to kind of get what we're after. All right, just need to work these rims a little bit more so that they feel right here. It's almost like the America car, because it's, you know, red, white, blue, and a little bit of black. Okay, so back to this black here on this horizon line. By horizon line, I mean this main dark area through the side, right where it gets really light. Okay, I want to just make sure this feels, right. So what's happening is, you can think of the side of the car like a mirror, and so this mirror is going to be reflecting everything off to the distance, everything down as well, and things that are above, as the angle of this mirror changes throughout the drawing. Now I have a couple pens I can use. I've got this Jelly Roll pen. I've got this Copic Opaque White paint, comes in this little bottle, and this Molotow pen that I'm using as well. So we can use those to kind of help things pop. And I'll start with the jelly pen here, particularly in this dark area. And you want to kind of think of, okay, which of these edges is going to be receiving some light, and make sure that you're putting a little bit of what they call it, bird poop, little white through here. And if you need to clean up things on the highlights or so forth, you can do that, or introduce bright spots elsewhere. But it's a nice thing to have if you do have access to a paint pen of some sort. You can introduce those highlights to really make things pop. So even on like the rims, I was mentioning, you know, maybe this blue is a little bit too much. So here I can just hit the rim with some of this opaque white, and now I have a highlight where there was maybe too much blue. And then up above, or right on the horizon line, or the wheels themselves, we can kind of paint in a little bit, you know, whether it's tire tread or text or whatever, but just use this opaque white to kind of get those highlights in. So I do like having some of this stuff handy when possible, for, you know, correcting mistakes, or for popping and introducing highlights where necessary. All right, we've got this little signal light on the side, so let's keep that a mellow yellow. Shade that in. On the inside of the vehicle, it's pretty light on the inside, so I'm gonna take a Cool Gray 5 here from my set, this brand new set, and just kind of blend down from the roof on the inside. We'll make it nice and dark, something like that. And come down. Alright, not really worrying about the detail on the inside of the vehicle. Just enough gray to kind of keep it in shadow on the inside. Alright, and like I mentioned, if you wanted to, you could add some black here. I'm gonna keep it clean and simple after all. A little bit of red here on this reflection stuff that we had going on. Just like that. Alright, so now for the front grille, I get to decide on what pattern this grille has. You know, maybe this is an old school concept drawing, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's just do some lines. It feels classic, it feels right. So I'll just shade that in with my black marker, like so. Now we have some grille lines. I almost had a mistake there with my opaque white as I ran my finger over it. So now I'll take this jelly roll and just introduce some highlight hotspots on the grille, not all the way across, okay? Just in a consistent way across, and maybe match that on the hood just a little bit, okay? There's a hood line or something. All right, so on the roof and the back, I want to bump the line weight ever so slightly, just a little bit. So I will use this Papermate Flare pen, kind of hit this carefully, but also with energy and expression. Okay, just across the top on the inside here. Just like that. And across the front of the windshield, I've been as I've been working on this, trying to decide, okay, do I want to try and put some blue on that windshield? I think I will, and I'm going to use that same method that I had before, this blender. So we'll just flood. Oops, that's a cool gray one actually. Very close to the color of a blender, so I was deceived, but still should work. I'll just take this blender and just really work the spot. And now take this blue marker, have these tips interact just a little bit like so, and now hit this area again and have a little blue across the windshield, just like that. Very subtle, but kind of helps make this feel more like a complete sketch concept presentation. All right, well, I will say, first of all, considering I'm using these really cheap Bianyo markers, they're spelled like this in case you're wondering. They are B-I-A-N-Y-O, Bianyo markers. So considering they cost $1 a piece, I think they're pretty good. I did just run into an issue where shading with this black marker, it kind of did some funny stuff. So I suppose that's to be expected as you're working with these. But if you are on a tight budget and you're just looking for some cheap markers to work with, I can't say I wouldn't recommend them, because in this short video rendering experience, I feel like they did pretty well. So for a daily driver concept sketching marker tool, I think these are great as you're working on designs or illustrations or what have you. Definitely worth considering. And again, I was not compensated by this company, just curious about these new offerings and if they could hold up to what I'm used to drawing with as a designer. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly had fun, and I will say you'll definitely want to hit subscribe and turn on alerts, because I've been putting out a lot more stuff lately and I don't want you guys to miss it. Thank you so much for all the suggestions, the comments, being a part of the Discord, being so involved and sharing my stuff. It's an honor, and I really truly do appreciate you guys being fans. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much. I get questions about how to help me on this channel. And one of the best things you can do is just keep watching and keep sharing. So just watch and share. But definitely come say hi on the socials. I am at sketchaday.com. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time right here on Sketchaday.